And welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest in the heart of Europe. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week and is looking forward to a great weekend. Hi, Jainil. Hi, Maksud. Hi, Abhishek. Rajveer, Nikhil, Victor, Carolina, David, and Mahi. Good to see so many of our members in class on time. Hi, Hassan. Today, of course, as many of you who were here yesterday likely can predict, we are going to finish the Task 2 essay that we started yesterday. Again, just for everybody watching, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please visit us there. And for general IELTS, visit us at ieltshelp.com. Now, Task 2 writing is quite similar in both of the versions of the test. You're writing a persuasive essay, so this will be a valuable class for everyone. It is a members chat class, but of course everybody is welcome to watch, and in 90 minutes I will host a class where everybody can join the chat for the listening section, practice, and strategy. Just a real quick glimpse at our websites. This is the general one here with the green background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package there. And for the academic version, please go to this website at aehelp.com. That's because the reading and the writing sections do have different components in the academic versus the general. So you should be targeting the right version of the test only. So if you're academic, go to this website and click that big red button to join us there. We are official British Council IELTS test registration centers as well. Students from Saudi Arabia can register through our services. So that also means that we have quite an intimate relationship with the IELTS industry, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Of course, you can send your questions to my email, adrian@aehelp.com. You can find our books on Amazon by searching for AEhelp's Academic IELTS, GHelp's General IELTS, and you can find the schedule for these live streamed classes on the YouTube community board. Okay. Hassan says, first time I know that IELTS exam costs are different in each country. Yeah, Hassan, slightly, okay, slightly different in each country. Not a lot of difference. It's anywhere from $200 to $300 US. It's simply a strategy called geo-pricing, Hassan, and we use geo-pricing on our websites as well. So to join the premium package on our websites, it's cheaper in India than it is in Germany. And this is just simply to do with accessibility and economic stability. So it's one way that companies like IELTS or like us, we can present our materials to more people, give more opportunities around the world while keeping a sustainable business. Okay? Yeah, so exactly, Hassan. So Hassan, you're saying it's 300 in your country and it's 160 in Turkey. Yeah, I don't know how IELTS decides how much it is where, but it also changes, of course, with the value of currency. So it's quite hard to manage this. This is one of the challenges of globalization for international companies like the IELTS, like us, to maintain growth, maintain viability, while enabling people to access the services and products as much as possible. So it's definitely a challenging game of logistics, Hassan. It's a challenging game of logistics. That's the best way I can explain this to you. But yeah, this is called geo-pricing. Okay, geo-pricing. All right. So interesting question, Hassan. Sure, why not? Throw any question out there at me. If I can't answer it, I'll let you know and look into it myself. Okay, so let's get cracking on this IELTS Task 2 essay. Okay, so here is the original question. Whenever you're writing an essay in more than one sitting, so if you decide that, okay, I have enough time to write the introduction, I'll come back and write the body paragraphs later, like what we're doing today, make sure to always start by reading the original question, okay? Everybody clear on that? All right, so it's very important for practice that you do that. You really want to keep your brain targeting the exact question, topic, controlling idea, okay? So let's start by reading the original question from yesterday. IELTS Task 2 Writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some people believe that people who read books can develop more imagination and language skills than those who prefer to watch TV. To what degree do you support this opinion? Okay, thanks for confirming, Ois, Abhishek, Nikhil, Rajveer, Amrita. So we remember this question now. We discussed it. We identified the topic as developing imagination and language skills. The controlling idea is reading books versus watching television. And then, of course, as many of you will remember, we identified a key perspective or difference between these two types of learning and development. Most importantly, that reading is active, it's more involved, and watching television is definitely more passive. Okay? All right. So, we came up with our thesis, and I think we covered most of our introduction yesterday, the hook and the background. So here's my introduction. I didn't really do much with it. I just kind of left it. I felt it was good. Okay, so the development of language, or please read it with me. Okay, don't just listen to me reading it. The development of language and imagination is achieved daily through various interactions. The ability to learn broad vocabulary and grammar for clear communication, as well as to visualize and manipulate information in the mind's eye, are some of the most advanced human abilities. For the past several centuries, most people in society improved their creativity and linguistic skills through literature. However, in recent decades, there has been a major shift to television. Now, I added this connective here. Nevertheless, I am strongly in favor of the idea that reading books develops both more creativity and language than watching television, because reading is active and comprehensive. Okay, so let's get into this. How should I start my first body paragraph? Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you members a little bit more today. Okay, I want to move along nice and smooth, so don't overthink it. Remember, you have a 40-minute time limit, but I want you to develop this essay a little bit more than me, okay? So how should I start my body paragraph? What do I need to do? What is the standard for persuasive essay writing body paragraphs? Okay, so Ois says body paragraph 1 should be about the fact that reading is active, and Maksud says start it off with the topic sentence. Carolina agrees. And what should be that topic sentence? Okay, so you've identified it. Now, what should that be? So reading is active. Okay, maybe include the concept of TV is passive. Okay, and start with the topic sentence. And what is that topic sentence? So how should you think about the topic sentence? What should you consider? What should be rolling around in your head when you're thinking about the topic sentence? Okay, what is a topic sentence? I can say it like this as well. Okay, so yeah, it's Maksud, you're right, it's reading as active, but of course you're not going to write that, because if you write that, it's just repeating the thesis. So what do you need to do? Okay, so Ois says definition. Ois, you're half correct. So not reading importance definition, but reading is active definition, right? So define the concept of reading as active. And here you can even give the contrast of TV as passive, okay? Romaine is asking, how long should a body paragraph be in comparison to the introduction? So it's a good question, Romaine, and there is no standard rule for the length of a body paragraph. Now, if you think about the idea, Romaine, that you have about 300 words to write for task 2 in the IELTS. 250 is the minimum. So you want to try to go over that by about 20%. So you want to get closer to 300. Now, in this case, Romaine, my introductory paragraph here is about, it's fairly long. It's about 98 words if I take out the definitive words here, okay? It's a little bit on the long side, but that's okay. The body paragraphs can be anywhere from 50 to 100 words, depending on what you're stating. So it's quite a broad range, Romaine. It could be as short as 50 words. It could be as long as 100 words. It depends on the content of that key point. Okay. The introduction is the same. The introduction can be anywhere from about 50 to 80 words, depending on the content of the introduction. Sometimes you need a few more sentences to make it clear, or words. Sometimes you can do it in less words. Always, Romaine, you should be aiming to be concise. In all honesty, I think this introduction's a little bit wordy. I think if I really wanted to trim it down, I could probably get it closer to 70, 75 words. Okay, so I could probably take out about 20 words or so. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. Okay. All right, so Rajveer, you're giving the topic sentence of the definition, right? So readers engage and have more control on the learning process than viewers of television shows who prefer to learn passively. Yeah, okay, Rajveer, I think that works. All right, good. Carolina says, active reading gives people the ability to use language more dynamically for the rest of their lives. Carolina, I think you're jumping the topic sentence and you're going into the explanation, the reason for it, okay? I think first you want to just define for us what active reading is. Okay, think about that, Carolina. Try it again. Okay. David says, when reading, the brain actively generates scenarios and joins lexical and grammatical items from literature. When watching TV, these key components are given without effort. Yeah, okay, David, I like it. I like it. I think that'll work for your topic sentence. I think, David, you're also going a little bit more towards the explanation. So you're kind of somewhere in between the topic sentence and the explanation, but it could work. It could work. Oa says, reading keeps the brain highly stimulated and absorbs new information, while watching TV is enjoyable. Okay. Think about the word active, members. What does it mean to be active? And then try to think of other synonyms or other words that define the concept of active in a simple way. Okay. Hassan says, being active, readers can stimulate most parts of their brain during reading, as well as develop imagination and language skills better than watching TV. I think, Hassan, that you're repeating the introduction there. I don't think that's quite distinct enough. You're not really giving extra value. You need to define that better. Okay. Nick Hill says, active reading is the way to comprehend for people who are reading by visualizing, while viewers who are watching TV passively. There's a verb in English that starts with an E. When we actively do something, when we actively begin an activity. What is that word? Starts with an E. and has that many letters. I'll even give you the second letter, E-N. What do you think that is? Okay, I'm just doing a little bit of vocabulary prompting here. Engage. Yeah, not embark, Hassan, that's close, but engage. Mahi, very good. Engage. Okay, so that word could be helpful for you here in this topic sentence. Okay, so when we do something actively, we put effort into it. We engage it. We stimulate the mind, right? We use more energy. Okay. Yeah, so Carolina, that's getting better. All right, let me just fire up the camera here again. Decided to take a snooze, and I forgot to switch it to the other camera yesterday. So you get a little bit of a thinking break. Okay. Let's get back into it. So now that you have these words, engage and stimulate and effort, you should be able to come up with a better topic sentence. Okay? Thanks, Carolina. The baby emoji, of course. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'll write my topic sentence as well. And students, always, so if you're not happy with your topic sentence, if you've written your topic sentence, this is when you're practicing at home, and you're not happy with it, don't just settle and keep writing, but rewrite it. So go, yeah, okay, now I've got these words. I can do a better job of this topic sentence. So then rewrite it. Okay. All right. Carolina says active reading is a process of engaging the mind with the text and creating images based on that information, right, Carolina? So, okay. So, while reading, people put in effort to interpret and visualize the text, thereby deeply engaging the content, which is in stark contrast to television, where the content is passively absorbed through video and audio with little energy required. Okay? All right, so I'm giving you a band 9 university caliber topic sentence here. Take a look at it. While reading, people put in effort to interpret and visualize the text, thereby deeply engaging the content, which is in stark contrast to television, where the content is passively absorbed through video and audio with little energy required. Okay, so that would be your deeper definition of actively reading versus passively watching television. Okay. All right. Janelle says literature is given literature are given effectively more imagination power and linguistic skills as compared to visual materials. Janelle, it's a little bit awkward, and I think it's a bit of a repetition of the introduction, so you have to rethink it. Okay. Again, really work on these definitions. I think one of the most challenging parts of an essay, definitely the body paragraphs, is the topic sentence. Okay, writing a good topic sentence, I think, is quite challenging. I think once you have a good topic sentence, the explanation lends itself a bit more easily, and the example can be challenging as well to come up with a good example. But I think the topic sentence is arguably the more challenging part. So invest a little bit of extra effort into your topic sentences when you're practicing these kinds of essays. Okay? I think that's an important tip. So keep that in mind. All right? Okay, so as all of you now know, we need to include an explanation. And when we explain the topic sentence, what should we pay attention to? So what kind of important tips and strategies do we need to keep in mind when we think about the explanation? Okay, people can get lost in the explanation as well, but as long as you kind of remember a couple of key points or strategies or techniques, I can say, then the explanation becomes a bit more difficult. Yeah, right, Maksud, absolutely. So you want to invest a bit more time in the topic sentence. When you read your topic sentence, Maksud, ask yourself, did I define my first key point clearly for my audience? Okay, so Nikhil says avoid examples in the explanation. Yeah, you don't want to give a specific example. Abhishek says, think about quantitative language. Yeah, numbers help to define, right? Help to explain. So think quantitative language, sure. And you can make it up on the IELTS. Of course, in university, you need to research it, maybe even do an experiment. But in the IELTS, you can just make it up. Just have it read, somewhat believable. But you can make it up. They're not going to judge you. Okay. Yeah, so Janil says, put some qualitative and quantitative language in there. Rajveer says, it should answer the why question about the topic and involve quantitative language. Yeah, absolutely. That's the other element I was looking for, Rajveer, is should give the why to the topic sentence. Yeah. So it should clearly explain why. Why does reading deeply engage the mind, and why is TV passively absorbed? So explain that and give some numbers for that. Okay. All right. Yeah, Victor, you can do some comparisons in the explanation, but of course here in this essay, because we've said that we strongly believe that reading does develop the imagination and language skills more, you want to focus on that argument. So it's okay if you reflect a little bit back on the counter part of that argument, the watching television, but definitely focus in more on the reading, okay? And if you don't have enough time to write the extra words, then focus definitely more on the reading. Okay. All right. So give me some explanation here, members, for this concept. So Oa says, people that read much have the ability to deal with most issues, and they can create good solutions in perfect time and make less mistakes than others who are watching TV and being lazier. Okay, Ois, I think you have a good idea there, but I think there's a missing link between what you're saying there and this topic sentence. So it seems like you're kind of jumping an idea here. Okay. So Rajveer says, unlike watching television shows where TV actors deliver speeches as well as perform actions, people learn passively by absorbing the information, individuals read books themselves at their own pace and visualize situations from broader perspectives. Okay, that works, Rajveer. Carolina says, active reading gives people the ability to use language more dynamically for the rest of their lives. Since a young age, children are taught how to read. It means that reading is an essential part of. Okay, Carolina, I think you're also... So keep in mind, students, that when we're talking about reading and we're talking about TV, there's a lot of information there. There's a world of information there. So we don't want our essay to really kind of veer off or kind of take a different direction away from the concept of developing imagination and language. Remember that our topic is language and imagination, right? So Victor says, by reading actively, readers can get detailed information for each item that are useful for improving imagination and language skills. Okay, it's not bad. Visualize yourselves reading. Let me try to help you out here a little bit. So visualize yourselves reading and try to think about what happens to you when you're reading. So when you're reading a novel, don't just think about a quick post on Facebook or on some social media, but actually think about reading a book from start to finish, where there are characters, there's a story, there's a background, climax to the action of the story. So think about what happens to you as you're reading this story. Okay? All right. So all right. So while I was typing, I see lots of others have written as well. Okay. Carolina says reading books not only helps individuals to know the language, but also creates in their minds what they are reading. There are different levels of complexity in books from children's to adults. Very good, Carolina. So, Carolina, by reading your comment, now I get the feeling that you started to really visualize and reflect on your own experience of reading books throughout your life. And you're definitely creating better sentences, okay? This gives the reader the power to imagine new scenarios and characters, such as princess palaces, warriors, and heroes. Very good, Carolina. Now I can definitely tell that you're engaging this concept from your own experiences and how that works. That's great. That's Band 9 level writing, Carolina. That's what you want to do, okay? Rajveer says reading is a multi-sensory process and people need to put in effort to read, interpret, and learn a particular concept, whereas watching television involves some part of sensory devices. Very good, Rajveer. Very good. Okay. And you can maybe even throw some quantitative language in there, Rajveer, like reading activates 80% of the language center in the brain, as where watching television is only half of that. Okay, you can say that. It's fair enough. It's debatable. David Valencia says readers definitely strive far more than spectators, since reading requires concentration most of the time. As a consequence, this process generates a clear improvement in the way these people develop their concepts and visualize ideas written on a page. This creativity is directly attributed to active reading. Yeah, David, good. I can definitely tell that you are, David, Rajveer, Carolina, now seeing yourself in the process of reading and how your brain is functioning. That's fantastic. Okay. Here's what I wrote. When readers become entwined in a novel, they are challenged to picture the characters, setting, and events of the story while understanding and interpreting a broad array of lexical knowledge presented by the author, and this greatly develops both imagination and linguistic aptitude. Okay, so I basically have a very similar explanation to you, Carolina, just using a little bit different vocabulary, and it's actually quite similar to Rajveer and David's as well, just from a little bit of a different perspective. Okay, all right, so now comes the example. Okay. All right, so for the example, what should we think about here? What do we need to include? Okay, what should we add for the example? What concepts or what techniques should you consider when you're thinking about an example that will help you get a really high band score? Okay, Ois is right in there with the example. Ois says, when I read a book, I feel myself strong and confident each time I discover new energy in myself, and again, without giving up, getting more knowledge. Okay, Ois, I tried to make some corrections there in real time. However, most importantly, you need to focus more on how a specific book that you have read has helped you improve your vocabulary and imaginative skills. Okay. Yeah, Hassan, I absolutely agree with you. So use a real life example. Okay. Definitely use a real life example. Okay. It's going to be much more powerful. Rajveer says use the first person voice because it's required in the essay. I agree. So first person voice is okay here because it's asking to what degree do you agree with this opinion. So yeah, first person voice is okay here. What else should you consider? So when you think about your example, what else should you consider? There's one more important point when you're thinking about the example, which can kind of help your essay to be more cohesive, means more connected. What is that? So what do you think that is? I've talked about this before. Maksud says maybe think about quantity. Yeah. I think definitely for our next paragraph, quantity is going to be even more important because of the concept of comprehensive. Okay. There's something else here that you should remember from previous classes. I'm hoping somebody will go, aha. So think about this. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Rajveer. So think about an example that you might be able to use in body paragraph 2 as well. So an example that can be used in body 2 also. So what would be a good example here? Let's try to come up with an example here. So what would be a good example here of being more active in reading, and something that we can also maybe use in our second body paragraph, okay? Amrita says, a couple of weeks ago, I read a book of Indian freedom fighters and familiarized myself with their sacrifices that they had done for my country. Okay, Amrita, so the idea of the book is good. So reading a book about Indian freedom fighters, how did that help you? How are you more active? How is this an example of you being more active than watching it on TV? Okay, think about that. Abhishek says, for instance, whenever I prepare myself for the reading module for the IELTS exam, I have to think out of the box and need active reading to understand the concept of the passage. Okay, Abhishek, that's good. I don't think that example is going to help you too much in the next body paragraph. So that's why I think maybe a novel will be a better choice here, but I think your approach is correct. So you're keeping the topic and controlling idea in mind, which is good. Okay? So you always want to keep that topic and that controlling idea in your mind throughout your entire essay. Okay, David, good. Yeah, so some kind of a novel that you read or that you pretended to have read. What would be a novel? What would be a good novel that you could say is quite comprehensive and requires a lot of active reading? I can think of a few. I'm sure you can too. There's some very famous novels. Okay, Janelle, Harry Potter. Sure, Harry. Potter, not Porter. P-O, yeah. T-T-E-R, Potter, Harry Potter. Sure, Harry Potter would be a great example, okay? So, because it exists both as a movie and as a series of books, right? So, Harry Potter would be a very good example. It's well recognized. It's a British novel, so it would be very well recognized by the IELTS examiners as well. Okay, so Harry Potter would be a good one. Any other book? That would be a good one to think of where you're like, okay, so, and the reason why that one's really good, Janelle, is because it's a comparison of the movie versus the book, right? Victor says, why not Romeo and Juliet? Lord of the Rings. Very good, Carolina. That would be another very good one, I think. Lord of the Rings. I have the book. If anybody's seen the books, hey, if you thought the movie was long, take a look at the books. All right. I think the 3 books together, I have them all in one original. I think it's 1,500 pages or something like that. So Lord of the Rings, Romeo and Juliet would be a good one as well. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy would be a good one. Okay. Godfather, Abhishek would be a very good one as well. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. So Sherlock Holmes, Janelle, very good. Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic comparison of where the movie's okay, but the books are far more exciting than the movies. Sherlock Holmes, mystery novels. Yeah, mystery novels are far more exciting. Yeah, David, the Bible could be one as well. I mean, you never would see the entire Bible as a movie, so it's kind of a bit awkward, David, but it could be an example. Pride and Prejudice would be a very good one as well, Hassan, absolutely. Okay, so we've got some good examples now. Write your example sentence. Okay, so you've definitely identified some great examples for this. Create your example sentence. Okay. Maksud says, last year I read Harry Potter, the 3rd part. It took me a couple hours indulging in reading where I found some useful vocabulary to use in communication. Okay, Maksud, you're on the right track. I think you can make it even better. Take out some unnecessary content and add some more important content. Okay. Okay. All right, but that's a good start. Okay, I'm going to write my example. I'm sure some of you are coming up with yours, and then we'll compare. Okay. Okay. So, Hassan says, I read a classic novel, Pride and Prejudice. You don't need the word called, Hassan. Just put a comma after novel. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and it took nearly a week to finish this novel. While when I watched the movie Pride and Prejudice, it only took 2 hours. Hassan, that's going to be your example for the next body paragraph for comprehensive, okay, rather than active. All right. Hassan says, I felt during my reading I had created lots of visualizations, which is opposite of the movie. That's a little bit better. Okay. David says, last year I read the first part of Harry Potter just after seeing the movie on TNT. I discovered the book widely includes more ideas and made me think deeper about various concepts avoided in the movie. So again, careful not to jump to the next paragraph, which is comprehensive, right? Here you want to be active. So although I saw the Harry Potter movies and found them entertaining, I felt that having read the books, I imagined much more detailed characters and creatures. I'm kind of doing the same, so I'm making kind of the same mistake about being comprehensive. And I want to change it to being more about being active. So you want to keep these concepts separate, right? Don't forget what the key point of this body paragraph is. So I felt having read the books, I was much more involved in the story and imagine more detailed characters and creatures. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm more on the active reading part, right? So here we go. Although I saw the Harry Potter movies and found them entertaining, I felt that having read the books, I was much more involved in the story and imagined much more detailed characters and creatures, as well as learned far more unique British English expressions and vocabulary. Okay, so now it's reading more about the key point of being active. Okay, all right. David says, last year I read the first part of Harry Potter just after seeing the movie on TNT and discovered the book widely includes more ideas. Yeah, and felt much more entertained by the book as I was more involved with the story. Right, David? And then that would be more about the active part of reading. Rajveer says, I have read Harry Potter books as well as watched the series on television. I visualize myself as a movie character while reading and learn more vocabulary and grammar than watching the movie because I'm more involved in the story. Right, Rajveer? Let's finish it with that, because I'm more involved in the story. And then it's the perfect example. Okay? Victor says, last year I read the second part of Harry Potter via active reading. I learned a lot of complicated words and improved my imagination. Very good, Victor. I like it, Victor. It's simple but beautiful, and simple is beautiful. So you're cutting right to the point and you're focusing on being active, more active in reading than in watching the movie. Okay? Ois, active and comprehensive are not actually similar. They are distinctly unique ideas. Active means that I'm doing something with effort. Comprehensive means that there's much more detail and information available. So it's easy to jump between the two, but they are actually two unique concepts, Ois. So they are two distinct concepts. Actively doing something and having comprehensive information are quite different. You could do something actively that's not comprehensive, and you could have something comprehensive which you don't engage actively. Okay? So I don't actually think that they're similar. It's just easy to confuse them. Right? Yarabisha says, when I read Harry Potter books, I had a wider perspective and speculations than when watching the movie. This indicated that reading gives more to my brain than watching. Don't switch, Yarabisha, from your personal subjective voice to the third person voice, gives people. Okay, so keep the example personal until the end. Okay, otherwise it's good, right? Okay, students, that's great. We're on the right track, and I think, members, that you have all the tools you need to finish the second body paragraph. I'm kind of out of time. It would be a rush to try to finish this essay now, but I think that it was good to go really deep into how to develop a body paragraph. And one of the most important points I want to emphasize from today's lesson is to really not just focus on the right key point and ask the right questions, give the right answers, but really reevaluate, rethink every time you're going through the body paragraph. So when you're writing the topic sentence, think to yourself, did I define my key point? Am I really defining the right key point here that I have as my first point in the thesis? When you're in the explanation, you should ask yourself, am I staying on the topic of the question here? Am I being relevant to my topic sentence? Okay. When you're in your explanation, or sorry, in your example, you should be thinking, okay, is this an example that will be widely understood by a broad audience? Okay, when you give your example, think about your audience. Harry Potter is really good because it's popular, it's modern culture, it's British, you're dealing with IELTS, so it's a very good choice which will be easily understood by the examiner. Okay, so keep these in mind, and then of course connect it to body 2. So I'll leave body 2 and conclusion for homework. Okay, you can send it to me and I will let you know how you did. Okay, so body 2 plus conclusion. And then coming up in 40 minutes, we'll do listening practice, part 3 and 4, where all of our viewers can join in on the chat. So hopefully everybody will be there. Okay. You're very welcome, Carolina. And I can actually see your improvement in your thinking, Carolina, in real time. So every kind of sentence you gave just got better and better. So that was great. You're very welcome, Ois. You're welcome, Abhishek, Jainil, Hassan, Rajveer. You're welcome. Great work. Keep it up, everyone. And for all of our viewers, if you'd like to see a lot of high band examples for Task 2 writing, please visit us at aehelp.com or gieltshelp.com and click on our blogs. We've posted tons and tons of Task 2 examples recently there, so check out the blogs on the websites for high band examples of Task 2 questions and answers. Okay. All right, everyone. That's it for now. I will be back shortly with listening part 1, part 3, part 4. Much love to all of you. See you soon. I'm Adrian, signing out for now from Budapest.